Hey, Ben, huh?
Hey, Ben, how are you?
All right, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good too. Yeah, it's hot here in Madrid. Today we reached almost 40 degrees. I don't know how was your day there. Hopefully
Yeah.
not as hot.
No, nowhere near as hot. It's
Yeah.
cooling down a bit now.
Okay. Enjoy. Enjoy.
Too hot.
Yeah, luckily we have the swimming pool opened in our block, so the kids can go down and we can watch them in the window, and they are like playing around and using the swimming pool. Yeah, and I use it too as well. So yeah.
Nice. It's only 22 here today.
Okay, that's really cool.
That's still quite warm for us. Hey, Greg.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Juan.
I'm going to turn off my camera while I eat. Just
enjoy your breakfast.
What are you guys up to?
You're on mute, Ben, huh?
I think you're muted.
I was saying that it's great to hear your voice again, Juan. How is everything going?
Yeah, thank you. Has been quite long. Yeah, the thing is I had 2 trips in a month to Bangalore because of postman stuff. And then, like Mondays I was actually flying back. And then the weeks I was there, this meeting is insanely late, like 1, 2 a.m. or something like that. So for one reason or another, I was not able to join for a while. But now I should be fine. But yeah, it was fun to answer your question, Benja.
Hello. Hey, Jason. Welcome.
Hello, Jason. Shall we get started? Maybe I don't see Julian connected, and I don't know about others. So maybe we can start and see if someone else joined, if that's okay. Great. So I'm going to share my screen to show the meeting etiquette as every day we are doing. 1 second. Let me make this font bigger. I'd like to remind that we are going to record this meeting to share it with the community and also in our YouTube channel. if someone in the meeting is against sharing this in YouTube, just let me know and I will take care of no uploading this one. If I don't get any comment or message, I'll be uploading this one tomorrow. We encourage everyone to challenge any language or behavior or any behavior that is against our code of conduct or harmful or not inclusive. We will like to stay on mute when other people is speaking, and we'll try to use the Zoom reactions to ask for a turn to speak. And with any further ado, let's see what we have in the agenda for today. We have two discussions. First, the discussion 404. Let's define compatible release. I'm not sure if this item was labeled this week or the past week, because I found an issue in the GitHub action that is collecting the issues and discussions. I thought that the action was supporting both discussions and issues, but I found that it's only supporting issues. So I needed to add those two manually, and I'll be sending a pull request for fix the action item, the GitHub action for tomorrow. So maybe this was labeled the past week, but we can still discuss it. So this is first, discussion 404, let's define compatible release. And the second, discussion 319 regarding a proposal that I sent months back with some small changes to refine the conflict resolution and the code of conduct enforcement. We are still on time to add more topics, so if you have something in mind, just add a comment or edit the issue or write something in the chat. Can we proceed with this one? Great. As always, let's start reviewing the action items of the past meeting. We had a very long meeting the past week with a large discussion with some roadmap issues and other interesting discussions. We captured 5 action items. The first one was regarding the pull request number 5 in the code of conduct. We discussed about the references we had to our previous membership to the ETF, and I sent some comment. We agreed in the issue was added in the agenda by me, so I added my comments in the pull request. This is why I marked this as completed, and I already have your feedback, Ben. So I think that we are this one is complete. I don't know if the pull request is updated, but the discussion is there. Okay, this is the current status. So we still need to make the small change to clarify that we are not going to remove the section in full, but better clarify that our relationship with the ETF. Is that right, Ben?
Yeah, that's correct. I was working on the charter a little bit today based on some of the feedback from members of the OpenJS Foundation, Cross-Project Council, and it took me a little while to think about it, and I did a few updates, and I have another chunk to do tomorrow, and then I will get on to this one. I'm just sort of going through them in order at this point.
Great, thank you for the update. Next, we discussed about the issue 418, that is one of the issues part of the roadmap, research of existing implementations by language. We left some comments for Julian, and I think he replied today. Yeah. So I marked this as completed because I thought that the discussion was done. So but I was not part of the discussion. Is that clear? So what we asked him is to add action items to describe what we understand as high quality implementations. So, and I think we are describing this here with some thumbs up votes. So I think that we are okay with marking this as complete. Right? Right?
Yeah, I mean, I just put the agenda label on today. So I wanted people to have a chance to review it again with these new items attached.
Yeah, but the thing is, the GitHub action is running Sunday night.
Yeah.
So if you add it today, is not
Too late.
Yeah, but maybe we can. I mean, we can. If we have time later, we can just use some of the time of this meeting to take a look to this one, and maybe if the action, if the action item is not completed, I'll unmark it. So yeah, let's use some of the time later. Next, 412. We had a great discussion about the strategy for engaging implementers. Great feedback by Greg and others in the meeting to add more gamification and more proactive engagement with implementers, because that wasn't clear in the initial proposal. I added some, I mean, it's not full detailed, but I made sure that we have a gamification and this proactive engagement element in the strategy. So I marked that as completed. Is here. So if happy to get more feedback. Okay, define gamification system to communicate and reward reward implementers. Next, another issue of the roadmap for 410. Refine the contributor journey. This plan looks great, looks good for the people in the meeting, but the metrics wasn't clear, so I added a new action item to discuss the metrics when we have the plan running. And finally, we had a discussion regarding the upcoming task of converting the spec to Markdown, and we need to take a decision. So I add this action item here, and I remind everyone in the TST discussion channel to see if we can just decide what of the options are we going to take. So Greg can start working on that, but I don't see any movement in the issue. So please, if you have time this week, take a look and let's vote. Any comment before going to check today's agenda?
Yeah, I think that that issue with Markdown is going to need a little more effort on our part. I did a review of the other approach, the IETF one, to see exactly what we could do. And I think the plain Markdown version deserves the same sort of treatment, just to have put together a proof of concept to know that we actually can do what we want to do with those things.
I think that's kind of what I've done with these two comments here, at least with this one that's in focus right now on Ben's computer. Because I've worked with the IETF one with JSON path, I understand its capability. at least to the extent that we've used it with JSON Path. My preference being the simple markdown is that it's easier for people. It's probably more widely understood. And so we would be able to accept probably more PRs from other people. Also, I think I like that it's just simpler. And I've linked to the rendering stuff from the Open API spec. And they actually have some custom logic in there that extracts the table of contents and renders that as the side, renders that on the side and stuff like that. I don't know if it goes in. The downsides are, I don't know if it can be supported to render into HTML, or it goes into HTML. I don't know if it can be rendered into PDF or just plain text. But the cram down does support direct exports into those formats. But I don't know how important that is to us.
Yeah. My point is just that we should probably put together a proof of concept that we can apply those, those whatever it is, plugins of some sort to, to get a table of contents and numbered sections like we want. Just to, our due diligence to make sure that we can really do what we're actually saying that we want it to do.
Okay.
Also, I'm not sure that numbered headings is really necessary. And just because we had them before doesn't mean we need them again.
I think it's nice to be able to refer to them.
Yeah, well, if we do feel like we need them, then we should make sure that we have have the ability to render it. I have looked at different markdown engines, and a lot of them support plugins. So we should probably look into one of those engines, and maybe there are plugins that already exist. Maybe there are plugins we can write for stuff that we don't have support for yet.
Sure.
Thank you, Jason. Any other comment before starting today's agenda on this one? Okay, thank you everyone for the brief review of the action items of the past meeting. Let's start with today's agenda. First discussion is let's define compatible release, the discussion 404. I'm going to open this one. As I said, I manually added this one to today's agenda because the action wasn't working properly for discussions. I don't know if this one was intentionally labeled by someone this week or not. So if someone in this meeting labeled this one, it's your moment to speak.
Yeah, this was from about a month ago, and it's high on my list for following up on. I think that we're in agreement with this. We just need to write up, write up a resolution and make sure everybody agrees, and then we can close this out. I don't think that there's anything any outstanding bits of this conversation, but I haven't looked at it in a while, so maybe there are. But that'll be tomorrow. I'll write up a proposed resolution for this discussion.
Thank you, Jason. Any comment by others here in the session?
I could summarize what I think the resolution is if people would like that, or
It'd be a good preview, yeah.
okay. So I think we want to define compatible as working as anything from the previous release works the same as it does in the next release. So that means no removal, no modifying something that already exists, pretty much only adding. But we do reserve the right to deprecate and remove features if necessary. But we hope to we aim to not have to do that, and would only do it under extreme in extreme situations, such as a security vulnerability.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds
Makes
good to me
sense.
too. Yeah, sounds great.
Is
Which
this
is essentially the original proposal, just using different words.
is this going to include a deprecation plan, or are we just saying that there will be a deprecation plan and to be defined later?
The latter, yeah.
Okay.
I think that's enough for now. And hopefully we don't even worry about defining that until we actually need it. And hopefully that day never comes.
Stupid question from my side regarding the deprecation thing. So when we launch in the ideal world, when we have this new release, stable release, are the other spec versions are going to stay alive forever, or are we going to do something like deprecate those at some point of time? Not, right?
You mean like the existing spec versions that we have
There's
now?
a draft 4, draft 7.
Yeah, those are technically gonna just live forever, and hopefully you know, given enough time, people update to the stable version. But there's no way we can say like there's not going to be support for those versions, because we don't actually control all the implementations, so we can't. So it's all up to the community if they choose to use them. As long as they choose to use them, they'll be alive.
Yeah, got it.
Sorry, what do you think it's worth you know, noting that we should you know, talk more about the benefits to using the newer version of JSON Schema in terms of the compatibility promises we're making, and that people should plan to upgrade, and if they are planning to upgrade, they should be moving to this newer version as soon as implementations are available, or that they consider the ecosystem has evolved enough to support that. Because yeah, that's definitely been a big concern.
Yeah, 100% agree. I think that as soon as we start approaching the release of the stable release, it should turn in a priority in our comms internally, both and externally. So total priority for weeks, months, like highlighting again and again those messages to encourage people to migrate. Yeah. Any comment before going to the next topic? Cool. I'm going to share my screen again. And let's see the other issue. Discussion this time. A proposal to make small changes in the code of conduct to improve the conflict resolution and the violation reporting. This is a discussion that I started long ago on February. I got great inspiration by the Jupyter project, how they manage the enforcement and reporting guidelines. And I'm suggesting two small changes. The enforcement responsibilities, to add a new clause to make sure that when a report involves a member of the TSC, get the OpenJS Foundation involved. And the second proposal of change is regarding adding a new section for conflict of interest. If there is a conflict of interest in a committee member, just notify other members and have that person recuse of the management of that issue. I think that there are small things that can make a difference. There was a discussion here, but it's not active since March. Yeah, as soon as we have the last changes in the code of conduct, probably I will be sending a PR with those small two changes, and probably I will work in something in the line of reporting guide, because there is no right now. I think that we can improve in how providing more transparency about what are the expectations when a report starts. Because here there is no, we clarify what are the enforcement guidelines, but we are not clarifying what is the reporting process. So maybe I'll send both. The two changes and the proposal of reporting guide.
Yeah, I like what I've seen so far. So, yeah, I'm just waiting for this work to be picked up again.
Thank you, Greg. Regarding the reporting guide that I will probably be adding here, we don't have a code of conduct committee, so probably I will be simplifying a little bit. But basically, what is important for me is sharing what will happen in the upcoming 24 hours and later, like who will be speaking, what is the response you can expect, and so on. And here they have like a resolution specified. So I think that those things, they are just getting inspiration by other projects, and probably I will do the same, continue getting inspiration for something that is other projects did great, and see if we can adopt it easily. If you have time, please leave some feedback in the discussion. And I'm going to check if we have additional topics added, because we are done with today's agenda. Let me check. Okay, there are no more comments or topics. but we still have some minutes, so we can go back and review the issue. Let me check, because Ben tried to add it in the agenda, but the GitHub action didn't pick it up, right? Is the issue of the, let me check, I don't remember what is the title. Let me share my screen again. This one, right? Issue 418. Title, Research of Existing Implementations by Language. We agreed in the previous session, agree in what is the definition of, let me check again, sorry, my memory is failing, I'm getting too old. Define what we understand as high quality implementation. This was the action item. I left this comment here. Julian asked for clarification. Juven and Greg provided that clarification, and this is what Julian shared today. I know, Ben, you was part of the discussion. If you want to take it, clarify. Yeah,
sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Julian updated with a few criteria or a few elements to investigate and report on. He did note that some of the metrics by themselves don't necessarily, or are not necessarily indicators of being good or bad in any way. They're just metrics which give more context to other details and helpful in terms of making decisions of whether an implementation is good or bad. So that they're useful for providing additional context. And then there's a number of I don't think, I'm not sure if it's added in here, but the output of the determining interfaces on implementations issues, sorry, part of that output, that work will be used to add metrics to this issue and this research to determining the high quality sort of level. So I'm satisfied with what Julian has produced so far, but I wanted to sort of feed that back and allow other people to comment on this list and see if that sparks any other thoughts. Otherwise, we'd move this into planning stage.
I had to read through it this morning. I think what's listed there is a good set of metrics. I would like to see them combined into some kind of singular score. Julian doesn't know that necessarily is a thing that we need to do. Give an official thumbs up or thumbs down, but I would like to see some kind of score and then defining a threshold. This is a high quality metric. This is a high quality implementation versus not a high quality implementation.
Yeah, I was just remembering on the code like index for Perl libraries, they have a metric which they call quality, but spelled with a K, because recent releases or number of issues outstanding are not necessarily indicators of quality of the code itself. And if the implementation is 100% compliant and it's up to date and it doesn't have any bugs and doesn't have any security flaws, then it doesn't really matter if it hasn't been updated in 2 years. So yeah, we may have to so some of those metrics that are listed are definitely indicators of quality, but others are subjective and context based. But yeah, I agree, like we can try and put together some indicators.
Yeah, I think it's I think it's important to keep in mind that no matter what we do, it's going to be a subjective evaluation. I don't think it's possible. I think that's what Julian was saying in that at one of those last messages or comments that he made. I don't think it's possible that that we can have an entirely quantitative way to grade these implementations. At the end of the day, it's going to be us determining, is it good or bad? Which maybe or maybe not we even want to be in the business of.
I wonder if it's worth us making some kind of statement that says, like, these are the high quality implementations, these are like the top tier ones, saying that these are the ones for each language that we suggest, that we recommend using, whereas there may be others that are usable and will work most of the time, that kind of thing that we can also list. You know, stuff like I've started recommending Hyperjump over AJV for JavaScript TypeScript landscape, simply because even though AJV is supremely popular, it has issues, but it'll work most of the time. So maybe we can make some kind of delineation there. I'm not sure.
I wonder if maybe the solution is to shy away from the term of quality, rather than you know, saying this is a quality implementation. Maybe say something like this is a recommended implementation, or some other words to that effect, where we're not necessarily saying, you know, this is high quality, because others might also be high quality and we just haven't, you know, evaluated them or whatever.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah. Yeah, and something that I'm thinking is the metrics that I saw in the comment by Julian. We have a group of metrics that are pure GitHub metrics that are regarding how healthy open source project is, and others are purely our JSON Schema ecosystem indicators, like this is production ready, this is compatible with all the releases and other stuff. For the ones that are pure GitHub metrics, instead of us considering what is recommendable or not, or what is good or bad, probably there should be out there a standard approach to, or Chaos project, or the ones that are analyzing the metrics of healthy metrics and stuff. So maybe we can just adopt whatever is there to recommend or not, using an open source project, saying, hey, this is not something that we decide. We are just adopting the format X, Y, Z, whatever is there. But I'm sure that there should be something like a project suggesting some indicators that are part of a healthy open source project, or something that is not well maintained, or other kind of adjectives. Maybe you already know one of the projects. I don't know if this makes sense, but I'm going to do some research about this.
Yeah, maybe it makes sense to not just have one score, but to have categorical scores, like project health as a categorical score, that like the PRs and issues and security stuff, that kind of stuff goes into the project health. And we can maybe have like another subjective thing like API or, you know, feature set or test adherence, stuff like that, that goes into another category of score, and then you narrow the 10 metrics that we have down into 2 or 3 different category scores that help people identify maybe which one is good for them.
Yeah, I mean there are lots of different sort of general open source quality metrics that can be used, where we add the specific quality indications is in terms of, you know, is it a JSON schema thing that's gonna be useful? Like that's a something that we can evaluate, which isn't relevant to other open source projects. And I think probably quite a large chunk of that has to come from assessing interfaces and seeing how much of the test suite it passes. Like, does it even use the official test suite? And those sort of indicators, which I think are going to be more important for our users.
It's going to be a lot of work on our part to do all that evaluation.
Yes, but you know, hopefully much of that can be automated and self-reported, and bring that as a minimal bit of work.
I don't know that a lot of it can be self-reported, at least not reliably. I mean, how do you know, like, if an implementation has open bug reports for years, AJV? Like, I mean, the only way, I mean, they're not going to report that they have, you know, bug reports that are open for years. They're, you know, the only way we're going to know that is if we go in there and look.
Yeah, that's true.
I wonder if Shields might be able to help with that, the shields.io. Because they have all kinds of bug report, or they have all kinds of shields, including like open issues and various things like that that could help summarize that information for us. So we can get a shield for AJV pretty easily because it's all open.
How, like, does that require that they have their issues labeled in certain ways and stuff like that?
No.
I mean, how would they know that an issue that's open isn't a question that just never got closed, or if it's a bug that that is still open?
That's fair. I think it's just open issues.
Yeah,
I think
I think that's what I have in mind.
I think in terms of like generalized open source project quality statistics, there are, you know, groups which specialize in this stuff, and we should lean on them because they're, you know, they all have dedicated vastly more amounts of time to this than we have. That's where I would sort of point us in the direction of getting a resolution for that.
Well, I think most of the good ones are paid, though. I think that might be the problem. I have not came across any of these tools that are able to scan repos in a very deep way that are not like proper companies. But
Yeah,
maybe there
I
are
mean,
some open source plans or something.
I mean, that's fine. Like if we have any ones which are good that are paid, like let's investigate them as well. I think for the generalized stuff, you know, there are solutions, and building it ourselves would be not a great use of our time.
for me, I think in general, I think that we just by knowing we just know the reputation of certain players in the community, and that's gonna be that. I think that's gonna be more accurate than anything that some automated tool is gonna tell us. And so I think if it was just me, I think that it would be I would just give a check mark or whatever to whatever implementations that we know from the community that are in good standing. Just on a subjective basis, because we know.
I mean, I guess the only counter argument against that is that there might be libraries that we just have no idea on programming languages that any of us are like remotely close to, and then it's like unfair, from that point of view. But I also agree, with Jason that we as humans are going to be able to evaluate that way better than anything else. But maybe it can be a mixture of two, right? Maybe there are like some sanity checks that can be done automatically on some of these projects, but then if a real human in the team that is trusted can provide their like rubber stamp saying this is good, then that overrides everything else or gives you a different category or whatever.
Yeah, I agree. I like the idea of using these tools as a tool and not as a decision maker, but just as a data point.
So to come back to your question earlier about what's included, is it maintained, which I've pasted into the comments. It says some issues are ignored based on their labels, like enhancement or feature, and then issues older than 6 months are ignored. So we wouldn't get issues that are like 2 years old, stuff like that. So there could be bugs that have just been ignored for a couple years, and this wouldn't capture that. I don't know if there's a way to configure these or not.
More comments on this one? Okay, I'll try to put the notes in this issue, but also add everything we discussed in the as comment in this one, so we can continue the discussion in the issue. I think that we had a great discussion on dividing the call GitHub metrics and not focus just in peer metrics and have a more positive language to avoid these quality implementations for something like more recommended. So yeah, that I think that we had like great improvements on this point, and hopefully the conversation will continue on GitHub. And we are done with today's agenda. So you are still on time to share something. If not, we can wrap up for today and continue the discussion in Slack or GitHub.
There was one thing that I wanted to share really quick. I started a conversation about, why is it not pasting into the chat? I started a conversation about URIs to use for our dialects in the future. I'd like this to not be something that drags out forever, and I'm hoping to come to a conclusion pretty soon. It shouldn't be a difficult, controversial decision, I think. So if you have any strong opinions, please have a look soon. Otherwise, I'm going to propose something and propose a resolution and hopefully get that through as soon as possible.
think my strong opinions are already on there.
I'm half tempted to say we should get rid of slash schema and just break things, but that's not the a good approach.
I thought we
Yes.
already got rid of slash schema. But we
Yeah.
decided to do that a couple years ago.
No, it's still there.
It still downloads.
I think we decided to make it a redirect with a notice going, you really shouldn't be using this.
Oh, you mean the just slash schema, not the
Yeah.
slash the suffix.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was gone a long time ago, but
It still
But-
downloads.
Yeah.
really,
Because
Yeah.
that's why we have massive traffic on that URI is because yeah, that's what the implementation for VS Code does. Goes and downloads it, doesn't bundle it, doesn't keep it.
well, we should stop hosting that.
And how easily can we incorporate that into the new website that we won't just a notice that we will stop putting that there.
This is a good
Just leave
question.
that up for 2 weeks and then stop doing it and then remove the notice.
This is a good question. I still need to share what is the date when we are going to have the new website. And as soon as we have that date, I'll give you an answer.
Tomorrow,
Yeah.
let's do it. Pull the
I mean,
trigger.
maybe we should consider doing it, and then trying to reach out to people that are maintaining VS Code and the Visual Studio itself. So I think Visual Studio also does this, and maybe some of the other IDEs which have probably followed suit in the approach. I will have a look and see if we have any ways to determine agents for that. Currently, I don't think we do in Cloudflare stats, but maybe given what we're considering, I might be able to ask them to look a bit deeper into the stats on that. I don't know. I don't think the stats package they offer would provide us with that, because that will be web analytics, but they might be able to dig into some of that and provide us some more detailed data.
That data is in Google Analytics or
No, it wouldn't be in Google Analytics, because Google Analytics requires JavaScript, and this is people directly downloading the schemas. We would need to have access to the raw analytics, which Cloudflare will have, but they don't provide details such as breakdown by user agent. But if I ask them, they might be willing to, given that they use JSON Schema as well, and given the nature of the change we're considering.
any other comment? Let's wrap up then. Thank you for making the time for this session. It was great. We have great discussions and good action items and follow-up points. So yeah, I hope you had a great night or morning, and see you on Slack and GitHub. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.